Hi, it's Mark Coopersmith, and in my ongoing series of conversations with innovators, entrepreneurs, and all things startup related, it's a real pleasure to welcome back for another conversation, Max Mirho. Max, how are you?
Howdy, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. Max is has his organization called EntrepreNerd and calls himself an entrepreneur, which I love. Max, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, totally. When I was in college, which wasn't too long ago, I was really struggling to find accurate information on the internet about how entrepreneurship actually works. I saw a lot of fluff and a lot of crazy stuff on social media, and I ended up interviewing real startup owners, and they told me like a lot of the information that I use now, but I couldn't find anything that was similar on the internet. So I decided to start building my own little things, and I started publishing how I would build those things so people could learn along with me, because I learned that building is the best way to learn entrepreneurship. But just a kind of a term for messing around, trying to make things, and it sounded like it connected. I've had a lot of fun with it so far. But yeah, just a way
Yeah.
to teach entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so it's kind of your special way of teaching entrepreneurship. One of the things we often talk about is the need for a great team, for a core startup team to have a hacker and a hustler,
Yep,
right?
yep, yep.
The hacker builds stuff and the hustler sells stuff. And sometimes you start with a person who does both. But the entrepreneur in you, there's a lot of hacking involved. Is that right?
Oh yes, most of
Yeah.
my time is spent piecing things together and trying to get stuff to work.
Yeah. So what I love about the way Max approaches this topic is he's got a particular approach that he likes to use called no code prototyping, as far as creating working versions of that top product that you're trying to build or service. What does no code prototyping mean, and how do you go about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's primarily what I do on in the content that I create. No code is my whole space. Basically, if like 10 years ago you needed to know how to use CSS, JavaScript, HTML, all these fancy programming languages to build something like a website, right? But now we have Wix, we have Squarespace, we have WordPress, we have all these tools that make it so we can just build a website on a little platform, right? That space, that's no code, right? Because you can build stuff that you previously needed code now without it. That space has expanded massively in the past 2 or 3 years, and now I can build things like apps, marketplaces, databases, two-sided kind of communities, payment pages, online stores, everything that I can possibly imagine I can build, as long as I know the tools that are out there and piece them together in the right way. I can make something happen without any prior programming experience.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
It is. Well, I'll go back 20 years to one of my startups where we actually had to go buy a server and go to a server farm, and we had our server in the server farm, right? And we had to plug the wires in. Amazon Web Services got rid of the need for that. And then we had to code and we had to do all of that. And now we're looking at no code prototype, in particular no code prototyping, but also no code products. And a lot of these, what you see is what you get types of applications, very much like Wix, which is perfect. So today we're going to go ahead and no code prototype. When I say we, Max is going to go ahead and no code prototype a request from one of the startup teams in one of the courses that I'm teaching. And in this particular case, the concept that this team is pursuing is is a tutoring business. And what they want to do is they want to match academically advanced, good students, high school students with middle school students to tutor. So they want to create a business that would provide, it's essentially a marketplace matching tutors and students. So Max, how do we go about doing this?
Absolutely. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to jump right into it. The tool that I'm going to use is called Adalo. It's one of my favorite tools. It's just very easy. It feels like the Wix of app builders, in my opinion. But what we're going to do is we're going to use this to build an application where there are two types of users, right? When the user logs in or when they sign up, they tell Adalo what kind of user they are. In this case, we're going to have tutors and we're going to have students, right? Middle school students and the high school tutors. The tutors will be allowed to post, I am available for work, right? I am available for tutoring. They're going to post that they are a tutor and they're going to put themselves on that platform. And from the student side, they'll be able to see the comprehensive list of all tutors for different subjects, for different fields in school, their experience, maybe even reviews for how successful that tutor is. And they're going to be able to find the right tutor for them very easily using this app. So kind of a marketplace, kind of a listing. We could even add things like payment in the future. We're going to keep it simple, I think, in this build.
Right.
So,
and we're able to rate our tutors too. Is that right?
if we add that in, we should be able to make it no problem. Yeah.
We'll see what we can do. Great. Looking forward to this. And the way you framed it was exactly the way that I would think about it too. To begin with, at its simplest, as you start to do this work, it's a marketplace. You have buyers and sellers. You have providers of services and users of services. And whatever the mechanism is for them to compensate one another is part of it, but value is exchanged on both sides.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to make this a desktop web app just to start, just because we have a bit more space to work with and it's a bit more comfortable. You can also do mobile apps here. You can do both. So let's do desktop web app. I'm going to keep it blank. Actually, I have a coaching template, which might be similar, but let's start from blank. Let's start from scratch just so we know what we're doing. We'll say tutoring app or tutoring marketplace. Place. And these primary colors and secondary colors look cute. So let's move from there. Now, automatically, Adalo is going to give me four things. It's going to give me a welcome screen where you just kind of start out. It's going to give me a sign up page where new users can sign up. And it's going to give me a login page where previous users that have signed up already can log in. And that's really useful. Not many app builders just kind of start you off like that. So that's one of the reasons.
And when you talk about new users to sign up, would that be on both sides, both students and tutors? So there's a single point of entry and then you'll classify what it is you're doing?
Yes, exactly. So the way that it's currently set up right now, we just have a simple sign-up form. And on this sign-up form, we have three things: email, password, full name, right? That doesn't give us any kind of variety on which type of user. So that's the first thing we need to do. Let's change that. Let's make it so there are two types of users. So let's go into the database section over here. Let's go to our users database and see these are the four things that are important. We have the email, the password, the username, and the full name, right? That's great. Let's add a property, and we want to add a, let's say, true or false property. It's a 1 or a 0, and this is tutor, right? So we'll save. And then we'll go, so now we have whether or not they are a tutor. If it's checked, they're a tutor. If it's not checked, they're a student. Great. I'm going to go back to the sign up form here, and I'm going to add that in. Add a visible field, tutor. Done. So now, when the users are signing up, now Adalo knows they have to check tutor or not check it. And based on whether or not they check it, it puts them as that in the database, right? In the backend. Let's relabel that so it looks a little bit better. Perfect. Are you a tutor? Are you a tutor?
And you could, we don't need to in this case, but if there were more than two, you could have are you a student? Are you a parent? Whatever it might be. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So perfect.
We could create like a multiple choice kind of system if we needed to. We'll keep it simple for now. So cool. Are you a tutor? Check. Beautiful. Now we have that checked in. We know enough about them. I'm going to move this up a little bit so it's a bit more centered on the screen. Cool. Now we have two types. And then when you're logging back in, you just need your email and password. Adalo already knows whether or not you're a student or a tutor, right?
Right. Perfect.
So we're good from there.
Max, could you zoom out just a little bit? Because obviously what you're now showing, and we're going to keep building on it, is the natural flow. So so you can see right there essentially the wireframe of what this app is going to be doing in the natural flow from logging into what comes next. Great.
Yes.
And so you can if you want to change that flow, can you do it as simply as dragging? Yeah, perfect. That's what I was wondering. Yeah,
exactly. Yep. It makes it super easy to kind of organize things. So actually, let's organize our login form and our sign up form together, because that's like the next step in the flow. Let's make sure this is right here. And then it goes to the home screen from wherever, right? Awesome. So user comes on. This is the landing page. The app name, maybe let's change the app name to Tutory. I don't know. That's the name of the company. Who knows? We can call it some more clever name. And then maybe an actual logo. They click sign up, or here, I can zoom in a little bit. they click either sign up or already have an account. Already have an account links to the login screen, as you can see here. And then the sign up button links to the sign up page, as we can see here. The click actions section down here always tells you what a button does.
Got it. I have a question for you. Well, you just said, look, we just came up with a name, Tutory. Now we need a logo. There's a lot of logo builders out there. Wix has a pretty popular one that within 5 minutes, you have a logo that you can use for free. Which are the ones that you like?
Great question. Yeah, for me, my EntrepreNerd is my show. It's the name of my show. It's a little live show on the internet where in an hour and a half, usually every week, I try to build a dumb little new company just to showcase the process of entrepreneurship. And some have done well, most do poorly. But because I only have like a week to build something, and usually even an hour and a half, my process around things like logos or names is very relaxed. Because I think to myself, I can always change it later. It doesn't really matter right now. So I come up with names on the fly, like I just did. Like Tutory is honestly as much effort as I put into most projects.
Right.
And then for logos, usually I use Canva, actually.
Canva, yeah. Another good one, right?
And futz around, yeah. Canva, and then the Noun Project is another fun one.
Yep.
It's for simple little icons on the internet that I just drag.
Do you use the Noun? I like the Noun Project as well. Do you use the Noun Project for a lot of the icons that you would drop in as you're building prototypes?
I usually do, yeah. And these are I know I usually, because a lot of the stuff that I'm prototyping is very like whatever, I usually just kind of pull images off here, but they are licensable. So if I was going to publish this to a larger audience, I would go back, I would license these. I would make sure I'm giving the creators proper credits. But it's a wonderful little place. I really love it. I use it for everything. It's awesome.
And on the licensing of those, if I remember, either you have to provide credit in certain applications or pay a licensing fee. But sometimes just even mentioning credit. Same with some of the music that's out there as well, right? As far as the open source music that's available. Yeah.
They're both very similar. Yeah. Although I do need to find a nice platform for like sounds. But yeah, no, both of those are probably mostly what I use because I enjoy the process of like futzing around and moving things and making things look nice. But the Wix logo builders and things like that are genuinely wonderful. I have used them in the past, and they get you some really, really cool products at the end.
You just mentioned something, and I know I'm taking a little bit of a detour, but for music and for sounds, sites you like, open source on the music side?
It's actually a kind of a gap in my knowledge right now. I don't really have anything that I've found that's super effective, but I'm sure there are things out there. I just haven't.
Well, then I'll offer up. There's one that I've used for a few things and have recommended called BenSound that has, some good music that's out there, royalty free. Exactly. And on other sounds, I don't have a good resource. So if you have any, you just mentioned that's great. Yeah. So BenSound has some good clips that are royalty free.
I'm going to keep this open. That's beautiful. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Great. So diving back in, we have our 4 screens. We have the login, the sign up, the everything. Now let's go to the home screen. Let's see. So if you are a tutor, the first step that you're going to want to do is create your profile, right? You're going to want to create, this is what I do. This is what I teach. So let's say we're going to need a user profile creation screen, right? So let's add a button here up in the top left. It says create/edit profile, right? And we want to show this only to, let me zoom in a little bit, create/edit profile. We want to show this button only to users that are tutors, right? Because we only want to give them that functionality. So let's go up to here, change visibility. It is sometimes visible if the logged in user's tutor is true, right? So just like when we were initially doing that sign up, if they put true in that little tutor thing, right? I am a tutor. If it's true, they can see this button. Then this is sometimes visible, right? So now this button exists only to tutors, which is awesome. Now let's lead that to a different page. So this button, let's go to add action down at the bottom. You can click add actions for any item. So add action on click, link to new screen. It's going to be an app bar screen, and I'm going to call it profile update. Profile create / update. Create screen. And now if I zoom out a little bit, boom, it's created another screen for me. So I'm going to move this down to here. Awesome. This is the profile create and update screen. Wonderful. So let's zoom into that and give users, tutors specifically, the option to create their profile. So it's going to be, let's see, we're going to need a form because they're going to need to fill in information about themselves. So I'm going to put this form right here.
And you just drag that form from the menu to the left, right?
Yes. If I want to add elements, I click the plus button. I can add a button here. I can add an image, form, and you can scroll down, and there are a ton of other options.
Perfect.
But yes, form, button, and most used is just the things that I've used so far. So this is great. This is something we need to decide because the data for their profile, right, is information that's going to be shown. Just like the users, it's going to have its own elements in the database. Adalo needs to know where that information goes for their profile. Should we put the profile in the user section, just add a few more properties to a user, so their profile is their user account, or we could create an entirely separate collection for profiles and just connect it to users. I feel like for simplicity's sake, we separate it and make it a bit easier. So let's do that.
Okay.
So let's do profile, add. So it's got a name. It has, let's see, what do they have? They're definitely tutors. It'll have a name. It'll have maybe an image of the person. So profile, picture, great. It'll have a relationship to a user. So it's going to be associated with a user. So a user can have multiple profiles. Profiles can have multiple users. Let's say a user can have multiple profiles. Maybe they want to post different things for different topics or different schedule things. So we'll do that. But a profile belongs to one user. That sounds like the relationship we want. So associated user. Great. Now we have name, profile picture, associated user. Let's give it a text field for something like subject of expertise, right? Subject of expertise. So maybe you're really good at English. Maybe you're really good at mathematics. So like you are good at tutoring different things. And then what else might we need? Is there anything else that
now, if we're going to do some kind of rating, I presume that would be something we would add later. Is that right?
We're probably going to add that later, but let's add the property here just so we have it. So let's add a number. And this will be rating. Maybe, yeah, we'll say rating. What I would probably do if I was doing ratings is I would probably create a separate collection for reviews, right? And those reviews, just like we had a profile associated with a specific user, we would have reviews associated with a specific profile, right?
Got it.
That's probably what I would do, but we'll keep it simple for now.
Right.
We'll keep it as data, and then once we get there,
I like that, and that way the reviews, you don't have to necessarily add 5 stars or all of that functionality. Just a place for users to put their reviews. Good.
Exactly. Cool. So now we have profiles. Beautiful. Let's go down here. Let's zoom in here a little bit and let's make sure. So I'm going to click into the form and it says, what data collection are we working with? We're working with profiles because we want the user to create their own profile. And we are creating a new profile. That sounds wonderful. The fields, all of them are here, I think. Let's not include rating for right now.
Right.
But we have the name, profile picture, subject of expertise. Awesome. And then the associated user is automatically the logged in user, which is perfect. That works great. Because if the logged in user is here, they have to be a tutor, and it should be associated with them if they're creating it. So that works great. That sounds good. So now we should actually just center this. This is how they can create a profile. So that actually seems like the create button. And then if they want to edit something, maybe we add that functionality a bit later. So let's just say create profile for now. That's what it is. That's where it is. They go here, they create the profile. When they're done creating the profile on the submit button, they create a profile and it links back to the home screen. Cool. Push. So now when they're done, it automatically goes back here where they can see, maybe they see their profiles. That would actually be good. So let's make that the next step. Let's add a place where they can see all of their current profiles. So let's add a simple list. Let's drop this list right here. I'll pull this back a little bit. This is a list of profiles. It's not all profiles. It's just the logged in users profiles. And they're going to be sorted maybe by created date, oldest to newest. That sounds great. And then it automatically has profile name and subtitle. So let's go and fix that a little bit.
And who are these profiles of? Are these of the different tutors that you've used or different?
These are currently, let's go, look in here. This is a list of profiles, like we said, but it's a list of the logged in users profiles. So actually, I'm just showing the logged in user the profiles that they have created, so they can keep track
got it. Very good.
Of what one.
So they could have a profile for history. They could have a profile for math. They could have a profile for different elements. Is that right?
Yes, and we could also create functionality. We could just like create a thing where they have one profile for everything. But I think this makes it simplest.
Good.
So let's do this for now. We can always change it later. Okay, cool. We have a simple list. The title is the profile name. That works great. The subtitle doesn't really have anything, so let's make that subtitle associated with some data. Let's go to the subject of expertise. So the profile subject of expertise. Basically, in this list of items that's shown here, I am tagging different little bits in here with actual elements from the data that we just collected, if that kind of makes sense. And it'll be more easy. It'll be easier to understand in a second. Left section, avatar, current profile, profile picture. It already has that. That's great. Wonderful. I think that's ready. So let's go and test this now really quickly, just so we can understand if everything works fine. Let's preview. Not found. Oops. I was having trouble. Preview. Okay. Doesn't like it. Let me see if I can go and publish. Open. How about this? Here we go. So let's sign up. Tutoring. Sign up. And then you'll see the kind of flow in real time, which is perfect. Let's click sign up. We're a new user. maxmirho@gmail.com. My password would be 121234. My full name is Max Mirho, and I am a tutor. That's the only functionality that we've added so far, so that's what we want to test.
Great.
Let's sign up. Boom, now we're here, and we can see that little create a profile thing, which is perfect. We go here, we go to this form. Let me add a profile like we suggested. So name is Max. My profile picture, let me go and find one. Nerd, media, images, picture of me, boom, boom. Wonderful. And my subject of expertise is math. Create profile. And then we go back over here, and the little elements is created. Max, math, and the image didn't seem to load. Oh, there we go. It works fine. So now we have a little section here. And if I create multiple profiles, we'll see multiple profiles there, right?
Got it. And you could add all sorts of things to your profile. You could have a paragraph. You could have certifications. You could add all sorts of things, which is easy to do because you just go back into the forms and add new fields. Is that right?
Exactly. We can add whatever we need to here. So if we test this with people and with real students, and they say we don't know enough about the tutors to trust what their expertise is, and we go back and we make sure tutors can add those credentials, exactly like you said. Beautiful. Perfect. So now we have the tutors side of things. They can post profiles. That's wonderful, right? Maybe also, let's say, just for the sake of niceness, if a student wants to get in touch with them, they currently have no way. So let's maybe add like a phone number field, right? So they can just handle it offline. Let's just make it a listing for now. Let's go back to database. Let's go to profile. Let's add a property. It's going to be text, and it's going to be phone number, right? Something like that. And then we'll go back to here. We'll add that field to the update. So fields, add visible field, phone number. So they can tag and create and add their own phone number.
Bam, there it is.
Easy peasy. So now that works great. Now let's create the student side of things, because now it seems
Perfect.
like on a very rough level, this is complete for the tutor, right?
We have that. In fact, what we're going to do right now is we're going to do this video in 2 parts. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll stop recording at this point. And when you want to see how the other side of this student comes to this tutoring site, this matching site between tutors and students comes in, come back and watch part 2 of this video. We'll be right back.
Awesome.